Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the channel. This is John with Flippin' Ain't Easy. As you can see, Jenna's not with us today. She approached me about 45 minutes ago and said she was really not feeling good. And that doesn't really happen often. And when she's not feeling good, I'm not going to make her sit through, 2 hours of, being on camera when she's not feeling well. And normally she enjoys being on the camera, but I could tell she wasn't feeling it today. So we do have a guest with us today, and I'll be bringing him on here in a minute. Just wanted to support smaller channels. That's kind of what I want to do, to kind of give back to a lot of the viewers who have channels that are, trying to, put out good information to other resellers and are just trying to find a way to get seen. And it's the same thing that I did when, I approached Joe from the Crazy New York Driver Show. He was kind enough to give me a shout out. Wasn't on his show, but he gave me a shout out. And sort of like what Pete from Craigslist Hunter did for me, gave me a shout out. And I kind of feel like, after you get to a certain point, we're over 20,000, we're getting close to 21,000. It's a way to give back. It's eBay Island that we're on. We do this. Most of us do this for good intentions. And I like his message. This is Ed, and his channel is Hustle and Grow. And he's been with us. And that's just the thing. He's been with us for quite some time. I think since we had around 2,000 subscribers. He's been with us, watching the channel, commenting in the channel. And, I really respect that. I appreciate that. And I kind of want to give back. So that's kind of what we're doing. So I'm going to bring on Ed with us right now. Ed, you with us?
Yeah, I'm here, man. How you doing?
Oh, good. So, Ed, tell us a little bit about what you do with your channel and what kind of stuff, what kind of stuff you sell on eBay and that type of thing.
All right. So as far as my channel, that part, I started it initially because I was doing vending. And so it was easy vending. And then, that whole bug thing kind of killed that whole process. And I had started selling on eBay. My account is since 2012, but I really started selling around like 2014 or 15, somewhere around there. Mm-hmm. And I was doing that while I was working and everything, but then I had stopped for a few years. And then I got back on when the pandemic started, because vending kind of took a crap, right?
Right.
And then once I got back into it, I realized like that's really what I would rather do. So I kind of just stuck with it from there.
Okay. And as far as like your channel, what
content?
Tell me about your content. How is it directed? What is the purpose of your channel?
For me personally, I had kind of played around with a few things like everybody, right? I did the what sold thing. I used to sell different types of stuff. I did a couple different things. But what I really realized is like I like to teach. So even when I was managing restaurants and things like that, I was always the trainer at whatever store I was at. So I was just like, I focus on like the business aspect, like how to run your business, motivation, that type of thing, because I feel like, the sensational part of reselling is cool, but that's really not what's going to help you be successful. Right. So I think I know you don't get as many views sometimes, like sticking to the bread and butter of like how to really run a successful business in reselling, because it's not as like glorifying, I guess, but
right.
I want to help people. So I feel like the people that do watch, they can get something, a nugget or two here and there. Then that's kind of what, that's okay with me.
Yeah. I think there's a segment of viewers out there that sell on eBay. They think they know pretty much everything, and they're only wanting to tune in to see the disasters or the fails, when we put out the clickbaity stuff, and they want to see that, right? And sure. They don't have time for learning something new. Maybe they think they already know it. And I think that's a mistake, because there's many times I'll watch a video. I think I know a lot, but I learn stuff all the time,
And, oh man, listen, I don't even sell in certain categories, collectibles and like clothes and things like that. But I'll listen to some of the YouTubers in those areas, because I always hear something, whether it be their process, it could be anything, but I almost always pick up something that I can apply to my own business and the types of items that I sell. So I don't never discount like, oh, well, I don't sell clothes, so I'm not gonna listen to that person, or I don't sell collectibles. No, I feel like that's kind of you kind of miss out, on the gems.
Yeah, no, I hear you. So tell us, what type of things do you sell in general, and how do you feel your sales are, and that type of thing.
Mostly health and beauty and cosmetics, so makeup and any type of health and beauty product. I will do almost any type of hard good though, so it could be lawn and garden, it can be home goods. Maybe not so much though electronics. I got
Right.
some electronics lots that I had just ordered from 888 lots. But my bread and butter is health and beauty. I sell on eBay, Walmart, and Amazon. uh Amazon and Walmart has been like my main sources of income. I mean, it moves way faster.
Right.
People actually shop for the items. So for instance, I can sell low dollar items because people will buy multiple quantities more often than not, and they'll
Mhm.
actually mix and match. Whereas on eBay, it's really not the case. So if I was to just do it on eBay, I would have to have like a super big store, you know what I mean, to make it
Yeah.
really work. Or if I'm selling in that specific area, you know what I mean?
Right. Right. And I used to do Amazon. I think I stopped about a couple months ago, mainly because my sales were doing pretty well. But you come across issues when you're trying to list something on Amazon, and then you're dealing with the issue of, okay, well, I guess I can't sell this brand. I need to show an invoice and this, that, and the other thing. And then when you finally get something listed, maybe it's a third party brand. Here comes the counterfeit claims from the other people
Yeah.
that are on the listing, and it's too cutthroat. And it's like, for me, I'm not interested in playing that game. If things weren't going as well on eBay, I probably would reconsider. But and I'm a big believer in cross posting, so we do Poshmark, Mercari, that type of thing. But Walmart is kind of interesting to me. Is it as difficult to get into as, say, Amazon?
It's probably a little more difficult than Amazon. Amazon kind of all you need is a bank account and verify your identity, and you
Right.
can get on. When I signed up on Walmart, I think I needed to have a reseller's license, so I think you at least have to have that. I don't.
Right.
They've been changing up like how they bring people in, but it's definitely probably out of the three the hardest one to get started on.
Well, okay. Okay. And you said you're doing pretty well, huh?
Yeah, that platform I can do. Man, listen, on days that I might sell 2 or 3 items on eBay, I'll sell 40 or 50 on Walmart of the same types of
Wow.
items. Yeah, it's a big difference. Huge
That's
difference.
big. But now we're talking new stuff, right? As far as like used
Yeah,
or
yeah, 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 for sure.
yeah. So if you're dealing with open box or that type of thing, you're better to put that stuff on Amazon under used and or one of these other platforms.
Or eBay. Yeah.
Something to look into. But I guess you would qualify yourself as someone that sells within sort of a niche or
Yeah.
multiple niches,
Yeah, yeah,
right?
yeah. I
So
guess we
now,
could call it a niche. I know that everybody been going through that whole what's the niche thing, but yeah.
yeah. So if you come across, let's say you do health and beauty, you do a few electronics, right? Let's say
Right.
you come across this really vintage like t-shirt, right? And someone points it out to you like,
Right,
Ed,
right,
I
right.
think this is vintage that you're looking at, right? And do you pass it up for $2?
I
Or do
wouldn't
you
pass
try?
it up. If I knew
Okay.
for sure it was worth something, I personally probably would take the time to list a shirt that's worth the time to list it.
Okay. Okay. So
I
you're
wouldn't.
open to, even though I'm within a niche or two, right? Or three, I'm gonna capitalize on something that has
Yeah,
value
I wouldn't
regardless.
go out looking for it, but if it came my way, I would take advantage of the opportunity.
Okay. Yeah, and that's always been my thing. I'm not a niche seller by any means. I just can't wrap my head around the idea that, I'm selling clothes, I'm selling, accessories, maybe some shoes, and then here's this PS4 or PS5 at a yard sale and they're almost giving it away and I'm just going to say, you
Yeah,
know,
yeah, no.
I can't see that. But um let's see who we got here today. I want to acknowledge some of the folks, and hopefully we can get some questions from you guys for Ed or myself, that type of thing. We've got Guy Guru who's not going to be here tonight, so he left a little early message. So if you're watching later, thanks for being here, Guy Guru. Brian H says, hello, John, Jenna, and everyone. Well, no Jenna today, but thanks for being here with us, Brian. Dre Work says, ooh, I get to catch into the live while working and reselling. Awesome that you're here. Keep listing, that's for sure. We got Archie Biscuit Butt. And then our buddy Mike Camparelli says, hope everyone in the chat is doing well. Sales and otherwise, my sales have been off lately. Just means I have to grind a bit harder. And we're going to be hanging out with Mike here in a few weeks at the reseller rally. Are you going to the reseller rally or anything like that?
Me?
Yeah.
No.
Your neck of the woods. I mean, well, not really far. You're in Pennsylvania, right?
Right.
Have you caught that guy yet?
Who?
That guy who escaped from the prison.
Oh, you talking about that dude. You funny. I don't even think they caught him yet, man. Last time I saw, there was like all these multiple sightings, but apparently they can't catch him.
How does one man escape all these video cameras, all these police? I don't understand. I got to tell you, I don't think he's there anymore. I think he's out of the area. But
he can't be, because you would think they would have already surrounded that whole area. So somehow he got outside of that area, which is kind of scary if you live up there. And I don't think we had a prison break since, early 2000s or something like that, when somebody escaped out of one of the state prisons.
But who knows where he's going? So be careful. Lock those doors. But yeah, I thought I'd bring it up since I knew you're in Pennsylvania. We have PTS Treasure says, hello, everyone. Glad you guys made it back from vacay. Weird week with no lives. Yeah, it was really weird. I mean, we could have maybe tried to pull something off. We were so busy, though, out there. Our host actually had plans for us to do everything from fishing to playing golf to going to the races, the horse races, to the live horse auctions where they're selling horses for like anywhere from $20,000, and there's only a few that went that low too. A couple went for about $1 million, and it was pretty cool. So the whole experience was, it's something you experience different things in life, things you never experienced before. It's really kind of cool. And we like animals, and it kind of felt like we were on the set of Yellowstone. It was kind of cool. This whole ranch and everything was really cool. So yeah, not a lot of time for lives and anything, but just a lot of, nice to get on the road and drive for a while. That was kind of cool. That's always nice. I like doing that kind of thing. Now we got Lenny K says, hello from rainy and thundering New Hampshire. Thanks for being here, Lenny. We do have a question from Mike Camparelli. Got a trumpet at a yard sale. Didn't look like much, beat up case. Couldn't really identify it. Similar comps in range from 40 to 250. So I put it up for auction at 50 to see what happens. And then he goes on to say, almost immediately got a message. A guy wanted to give me $100, figured it must be worth something. So I didn't take it. Now I have 111 views, 11 watchers, but no bids. Should I have taken the $100? Yeah, it's kind of tough when you're not quite sure. I would have, if you said that you saw similar comps from 40 to 250, and I don't see where you say you bought it, how much you bought it for. So not sure what you paid. That has to come into the equation. I would have tried to do something in between, not go as high as 250, but maybe put it up for, say, 175 plus shipping or something like that and see what happens. I think the number of watchers and the number of views only confirms that it has value, and anyone that's interested in buying it's going to kind of wait to snipe it anyway. And you may not, unless you get a bidding war, you're probably not going to get much for it. Now, if you can, I would say that's a good indicator if you have at least a day, maybe you should, or more than a day left, to go in and cancel the auction. Yeah, eBay may make you pay fees off of the price that it's at, which is, I think you said $50. But I would go in and just list it, and then only if after a couple weeks you don't get any sales, then maybe consider selling it for that. What do you think, Ed? What do you think you should do?
That's what I was thinking. I was going to say, if he didn't accept the offer, then maybe just kind of in the auction, paid a little fee, and just list it as a buy it now with a best offer.
Yeah, because you're getting interest, right? No one would be watching it if they
right. He said 111 views with 11 watchers. That's pretty good for the amount of views. So yeah.
I mean, I just think with auctions, and what's your take on that? I put out a little on the live stream and talked about it. A lot of people kind of gave me flack. One guy who was not respectful at all is probably watching this out in the UK, but he was, I don't mind people disagreeing with me, but don't come at me. You know what I mean?
Right.
It's just we can have a respectful conversation, and maybe I could have learned something from this guy. But I'm not going to give anyone that kind of a chance when they just go off on you. But for me, it's one of those things where I just think, for the most part, as we know, auctions, let's set everything at $1.99. I had a friend that used to do it at a penny, and he'd swear by it. This is years ago, like 6, 7 years ago, and he'd sell stuff, like purses and shoes and stuff that they didn't need anymore, and he would make a killing with it. I just don't think it's the same kind of market anymore with auctions. I mean, I think sometimes they can work, but if you're banking on auctions, I see so many people, because maybe the app will steer you towards initially listing it as an auction if you're listing on your phone. People don't switch it over. They just launch it as an auction. I guess it can work, but I'm not really sold. What do you think?
I don't think, in my opinion, eBay is not an auction site anymore. I think you can run auctions on specific types of items, very, very specific types of items, right?
Right.
Or you can even run an auction just to gauge, if you don't know the value of something, maybe to gauge the value, right? You set like a certain minimum, and you just kind of see, you want to test the market, right? And if it sells, cool. But if it don't, then you do a buy it now. But besides that, I don't think eBay's an auction site like it started out. I think it's more of a, I'm going to go in here, one click, get what I need type of thing, and that's it.
Why do you think that is?
I think that's the way they want it to be. I think that they can get, I think the money for them would flow even faster, right? Because if I got a bunch of buy it nows going on, a bunch of people purchasing buy it nows over people watching the auction, maybe they buy, maybe they don't, maybe they pay, maybe they don't. I think it's less of a headache for them. It's less of a headache for the seller. And I think it's just an easier process. Look at Amazon. You can just go on, get what you want, click, buy it now, and be done with it, right?
Yeah, I think that they have spent a lot of time over the past 5 years trying to be Amazon, and they've said it. We're going to try to become more like Amazon. But I think also the generation of buyers are changing because of Amazon. I just went on the other day and bought some stuff on Amazon. They told me I bought it in the morning. They said I'd get it between 5 and 10 p.m. that same day. I mean, I can order it, boom, and get it today or tomorrow, no problem, right? That's Amazon Prime. I think people are kind of more conditioned that I don't want to wait 7 days to find out if I can get this, right? I want it now. I need it, right? Or I want it, right?
They don't want to wait for, the buyer don't want to wait for 7 days. Neither does the seller. Nobody wants to wait, right? So, it's just easier. And I think, I don't want eBay to be like Amazon. eBay has its purpose. You know what I mean? And I think it's good for the purpose that it serves. So I kind of want them to stay eBay in a sense,
Yeah, if I want Amazon, I'll go on to Amazon.
Right.
You can find a lot of the same stuff on Amazon that you can see on eBay and get it like right away. But, I know that when competition comes, I guess, you can say that Amazon overtook eBay at one point back in the late 2000s, 2000s, whatever, about 10 years ago, 15 years ago. And eBay's been trying to make up that ground, and they're never going to make that. They're never going to do that. In fact, they're losing. They're losing buyers and sellers. I just think eBay needs to stay in their lane.
And I think at this point, it's apples and oranges. Amazon's into too many other things. They got Amazon Web Services. They got Prime TV. They got too much going on. And eBay, that's not eBay's thing, So it's like, stick to eBay. You focus on not letting sites like Whatnot take your market share. And don't try to be Amazon. You know what I mean?
Well, at one point they were talking about trying to be like Whatnot. I remember a conversation last year where they were talking about doing some instant auctions through video like Whatnot. And I've never seen that emerge. Someone probably talked some sense into someone and said, no, that's not going to happen. Or it could have been something they were trying to do and it just broke the website.
Yeah, because Whatnot's never going to get anywhere near close to the eBay traffic, regardless. I mean, it may be popular and it may be useful, but it's never going to be eBay. No. I think that's just my opinion. I don't think so. So why chase them? They're chasing you. There's no need to chase them.
Right. I mean, someone once said, you cannot be everything to everyone. You know what I mean?
Right.
You gotta focus your efforts on being who you are, I think. And
do what you do well. That's it. Do what you do well. Don't try to do what everybody else is doing.
Right. I agree with that. So we got Sandra says, hi, FAA family. Had a decent week. I tend to pick up sales from Friday till Monday and then quiet. What else we got here? Maya says if it's an in-demand item, he may just not want to compete with others, which is why he messaged you. I think they're talking to somebody else. Little sidebar action before the show, kind of catching up here. Here's Mike says, be careful with UPS Ground Saver. Their insurance only covers up to transfer to USPS. The last mile has no insurance coverage. If the package gets damaged, there will be a lot of finger pointing. Interesting. Mine's insurance for me is kind of baked into when I buy my labels on FedEx. I think I'm probably buying 75% FedEx, like 25% USPS. And I'm buying the USPS labels through eBay anyway. So that shouldn't be an issue. But you sell pretty much smaller items, like stuff you can ship by, USPS, that type of thing.
Yeah, everything is. Most of my items don't go over 2 pound range.
Okay, so you're kind of doing the ground advantage stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was checking out some of your items. I see that you offer a lot of free shipping. How does that work for you? Get more sales, or is it just
everything is free shipping? I'm not sure necessarily that is more. I used to charge. It was just too much of a headache to go in and have to invoice, and I just didn't want to have to deal with it, honestly. So I just made everything free shipping. I kind of put the price at what the market is. I don't really try to get more. If the market say is $10 item and I want to put it, I'll make it a $10 item. I don't really. I look at everything as like a total. So, for instance, whatever my overall sales is and whatever my overall shipping is, like that's kind of how I look at it. I don't, because it evens out for me. You know what I mean? Because I got with the items I sell, I can ship. I might get an order on Walmart, right? It can be a $30 order, and even it could be 4 or 5 items, and all those items might still ship in the 4 or 8 ounce range.
Okay.
You know what I mean? So it's like I'm still only paying $3 or $4 for like a $30 order. So like when I do get an item that I got to ship that maybe the shipping's a little high, it's even out. And then with the new ground advantage prices, it's even better for me now. So yeah, that's kind of how I look at that.
Yeah. I mean, it's definitely. I think ground advantage is really probably the best thing we've seen from the U.S. Postal Service in years. I haven't heard any real issues.
Yeah, for sure, definitely.
It's really competitive, even to a lot of the rates that I can get. But I figure the same kind of thing that you do. If I can save $15 on a FedEx package with my rates, and maybe I'm paying $1 or $2 more than what they paid on this next package, I just go with it rather than try to play with ground advantage. But the packages that I have sent ground advantage have been good. I haven't had any complaints.
Now, if I sold types of items you sell, I wouldn't do free shipping probably. It just depends on what you're selling. Like, you know what I mean? If I sold clothes, I wouldn't do free shipping either. So it just depends.
Well, it's one of those things where you got to consider if you do take on a return. I get a lot. I think half the returns I get are bought wrong item or doesn't fit and that type of thing, where the buyer's paying for the return. And, I have to now refund the original shipping if I had free shipping, because there's no defined amount. I can't go to eBay and deduct $20 and say, well, that's what it cost me. eBay would, I think, would have a problem in the long run with you doing that. So that's kind of why I do it. I just don't want to be stuck with on both ends of the return.
No, that makes sense. And my return rate is low. It's usually under 2% on all platforms. So it's not really that high.
Yeah. Well, I get a decent amount, but they don't charge you the buyer remorse returns against your account from the ratio. It's just the item not as described.
Wrong item sent.
Yeah. And let's see who else we have here. Jovial says, hey, FAE fam, does anyone have a Detroit Lions hat and shirt so John can go as head coach Dan Campbell for Halloween? Hey, I'm happy with that game. I don't know if you watch football.
That was
I'm happy with that. Actually, my son and I, we did a 8-team round robin parlay, like covering all these games. Like that was one of them. We picked Detroit. And so we have another 7 games to fade to turn $200 into about 3,800. So we'll see if we can pull that off. It's hard to do. That's why they pay so much, but we'll play a little sports betting here and there first week of the season. So
you get a couple extra dollars,
Yeah, we'll see if we can pull it out. So we'll see. Let's see. We got Art. It says, anyone else having trouble finding their items on eBay? No. Have you?
I was doing some searches in the incognito window the other day. Um,
Right.
I really didn't see anything. I've been doing that lately because I know a lot of people have been saying that. Honestly, I have not had any trouble finding any of my items. So I don't know.
I haven't had any trouble, but I can tell you the last few months it's been kind of spotty. When I'm doing research on an item, I'll type in, the entire title. Maybe I'm done research on Amazon because a lot of stuff I get is through Amazon, and I'm doing a search on that title, and something else will come up. So then I have to back it off and like say, okay, 3 or 4 words of this title, the
Yeah,
keywords I'll
yeah.
use to find it, and that works for me. So I don't know. Maybe it's just refining your search. Maybe don't try to copy and paste the same title that you're using. Hey, real quick, guys, hit the like button because we have a thing that within 24 hours, I don't know how it works. You're going to get a sale. You're going to hit that
Well,
magical, and I just don't know how it works, but so many people say it works, and I
and
think
if a lot of people say it's true, man, it got to be true. So
it's crazy. It's crazy how it works. So hit that like button, guys. Get that cha-ching, and at least one sale. We do a money back guarantee. You get your money back. You gave us nothing, so you get a full refund if you don't get a sale. But let's see. We got Mr. No One Design. He left out the two. I guess he's changed his name, but or Salami Sandwich, as he's otherwise known as, says, "Hey John, out of YouTube jail. Side note: don't piss off Roman by mentioning Jake or Yakov. Just saying." I don't know who that is, but I haven't seen Roman. He's usually the kind of guy that kind of hops in late in a live stream. We got Joy Goodnow says, "Good evening, everyone. Thanks for being here, Joy." We have Callie Deb says, "I hope Jenna feels better quickly. We will miss her today." Yeah, I can definitely tell. There's a lot of people probably turned off of the live because she's not here with us. But I don't want to make her feel like she has to if she's not feeling well. I certainly wouldn't enjoy myself if I was in that position. Sylvia Hunt says, "Hi, everyone. Thanks for being here, Sylvia." And we have Mark Suddick says, "Welcome back, John and Jenna. Hope you had a good vacation." Everyone hit that like button. Yes, please hit that like button. It does help the YouTube algorithm get the word out that I think we have a pretty good community here.
Yeah,
A place
yeah,
to come twice a week to maybe, hey, I'm struggling with this, or I have a question about that. And certainly, if you're with us today watching and you have a question or maybe just a comment about what we're talking about, drop that in the chat with, if you can, the word question so I don't get confused. Sometimes I do start reading sidebar stuff. But yeah, that'll get us at least on your question, and hopefully we can get you an answer between myself and Ed and or the rest of the chat. We can get that information to you. We have Henri Squaw says, "Howdy. Thanks for being here, Henri Squaw." And Savage Picker says, "Hello all. Tell Jenna I hope she feels better." Certainly will. She's probably actually watching. Glenda says, "Good evening, everybody. Thanks for being here, Glenda." And we also have Gail Carlson. "Hello from the COVID house. Finally found me. Hope everyone had a good week." Yeah, I've had that thing twice. And yeah, I don't want it again. That's not fun. Jerry Johnson says, "Hi, everyone. Prayers for Jenna. Feel better." And well, thank you for that. And Bevy says, "Hi, everyone." And also we have Millie Vega. Hello from Texas. Sales. Here's a mention about sales. Sales have fell off a cliff. Tried multiple things and nothing seems to help. Still plugging along, hoping something breaks loose soon. So, question to you is: have you seen a transition in sales from? I know it's kind of early in Q3, or I call summer as like the beginning from Labor Day on. Well, actually, early before Labor Day is summer, and after Labor Day is sort of the aftermath where sales should pick up. But have you seen a difference in sales from the summer till say now?
yeah, yeah. So for sure. So despite all the issues that we've been having, whether it be on eBay or wherever, overall, even on eBay, I was just looking. I think I want to say sales today been crap for me, but I don't even know if I got a sale today or not. And if I did, it was probably earlier in the day. But
Yeah.
overall, I'm up like 16 or 17% still. So I mean, and even on Walmart and Amazon, it's been pretty good. So and I went back and I looked at my would have been second quarter because you got what January, February, March. Yeah, so my second quarter, I,
Oh,
I was up probably about $10,000 over that, and we're still in third. So
okay.
you know what I mean. So yeah,
Yeah.
there's definitely a difference as far as like the increase in sales overall.
Speaking of sales, I got my sale.
There you
So
go.
it's a $46 sale plus shipping. So we'll take that. We'll take that. For me, sales today, I usually like to tell everyone how I've done with sales, at least today. Not so hot. I mean, probably about $150 in sales, whereas I did 750 on Saturday, 620 on Sunday, 440 on Monday, 430 on Tuesday, 314 on Wednesday, and 545 yesterday. So good solid week. I usually count Friday along with the weekend. So hopefully we'll get some sales rolling in here.
Those are
And
pretty strong numbers, man. So what do you expect? Because you wasn't doing this model last year in Q4, right?
no,
So what do you think? How you think things are going to go for you this year in Q4 with the type of items you selling?
I don't think they're going to change from what I'm seeing right now. Because, think about Q4 as the time where people start focusing on buying gifts. To me, that's what makes Q4 different. People are buying gifts for other people, right? So it's sort of like a tradition. Um, People are still going to need the things they need, right? And that's kind of what I sell. I don't think Aunt Thelma's getting a toilet seat under her Christmas tree. That'd be kind of just
Well, no,
rude.
but there's more people online too. So I mean, you probably still see an increase.
Maybe, but I think a lot of people have really, because of COVID, been conditioned to start first shopping online before they go to their Walmarts and stuff. Yeah, you got a lot of old fashioned folks that still will go into the brick and mortar stuff and to get what they're looking for. But I think the COVID, the whole lockdown thing, and
Yeah, yeah.
really introduced people to the idea of, what, this is easy. I could just go on my computer, could be in my pajamas. I don't have to drive anywhere. Don't have to get out in it. Just go on, order what I need, and in a few days it's going to be at my house, right? So,
So that's a good point, real quick. So let me say this real quick. Excuse me. So with that happening, right, and more people selling online, I feel like that has an effect on sellers in the sense that if you got all these buyers that's coming to the online marketplace to get things, so now in order to get those sales, you have to be competitive, whether
mhm,
that's price, shipping, free shipping, not
right.
free shipping, the types of items. So that adds just another level of competition for every seller. It's like, okay, maybe there is more buyers overall. It don't have to be just eBay. But as a seller, what are you going to do to be able? Because it's going to be harder for you to take that
Right.
market share from those who's willing to do those things. You know what I mean? Or what do you think?
Right, but well, it also asks the question: what do the buyers want when they're coming online? So they know they can buy this thing right at their local Walmart 2 miles away for $99.99,
Mm-hmm.
but if they can find it for $79.99 shipped, I think right now more than any other time, and you can kind of argue back and forth about the economy, but when the economy is not so hot, and I could think a lot of us can agree on that, people are looking for deals. There's another one. That's the one they actually paid. All right, that's good that they paid. But for me, I think that it's now more important than ever before. We're losing buyers. I mean, we're talking millions upon millions
Yeah,
of buyers we've lost
yeah,
over the last year. That means that's fewer people that are going to be online looking for your items. What happened to those buyers? I don't think that those people left to go back to brick and mortar. I think they've had such a bad experience on eBay for whatever the reason. We talk about all the problems we've had on eBay as sellers with all the glitches. I've heard stories about buyers not being able to check out, not being able to buy the item that they're looking for, and or find the item they're looking for in search. And after a while, you're dealing with a what is called in the retail industry, not the retail industry, but in the industry I was in the call center. Um, you want to create a low effort buying experience in this
right,
case, right?
right, exactly.
Once you make it a high effort experience, someone's going to just shrug their shoulders and say, you know what, I can get it on Amazon or I can get it on Mercari. I'm going to go check it out on Poshmark, right? Walmart. and I'm going to buy the same item. Maybe I'll pay a couple dollars more, but I don't got time for this, right?
Yeah,
Whatever the
yeah,
problem is.
yeah.
So that's the eBay problem that eBay's got to deal with. But as sellers, we got to understand that that is a problem, and that makes it more imperative that you're competitive, because the sales that you were getting 5 years ago ain't what's happening right now. The same kind of thing you were selling 5 years ago ain't selling so hot right now. And I think that's what a lot of people are having problems with. And you get people, so many people that comment, I don't care. I'm not giving eBay any more money. Yet they'll go to Mercari and pay 20%, right?
Right,
They won't promote for 3, making it 16%, but they'll go pay Mercari 20. They'll go pay Poshmark 20. And it's like, come on, guys. I don't want to be the one that it seems like I'm promoting eBay's promoted listings, because I don't like the program either. It's definitely a money grab, but I ain't going to make it go away. You ain't going to make it go away. And all these people that say, oh, sellers should go on strike. All right, if we collectively did that, we'd have 90% of the sellers still on the platform taking our sales. So that ain't going to work. So for me, it's like eBay, this is their sandlot. We want to sell here. We got to know what the rules are. We got to figure out what's going to work for our sales, even if we like it or not, and play the game. And unfortunately, there's so many people that are in their own way. And I'm gonna get a lot of people hating on me for that. But you know what? This program is about being real. And being real is, I think sometimes we're in our own way, and we are so, I'm this way, hard-headed, that we just won't allow ourselves to budge. And I think we're more interested in principle than our own business. That's just the way I look at it. What do you
No,
think?
that's true. And I think a lot of people, and this is just my opinion, when you look at eBay, and I know you've purchased things off eBay, so have I. And when you get it, and you just like, this ain't what you said it was, man. And then when you try to come back to them, like, hey, look, I had this issue, and then they want to give you a problem like you was the one that started the problem. It's like, dude,
Yeah.
no, that's not. So if I got that issue over and over again as a buyer, I don't care if it costs more on Amazon. I'm going to Amazon. I don't
Yeah.
care
You
if
get
it costs more on
Amazon
Walmart. I'm
box.
gonna go to Walmart. So like, what
Yeah.
are you? I feel like we got to take responsibility for what we do in our business overall. I'm not responsible for you. You're not responsible for me. But in a way, we are. If we just offer a level of customer service that the customer can accept, that's acceptable, then I feel
Mhm.
like a lot of those buyers wouldn't leave. If they, nobody wants pubic hair and they're like, soap, man. You know what I mean? So
People do. Some people do, but not everyone I know. But it's like you order something off of eBay and you're like, I didn't order any Lucky Charms. What the fuck is this? And and it turns out that whatever you ordered is inside that box. It's like, why
yeah,
do that? I get this
yeah,
nice box from Amazon. Yeah,
yeah,
they'll throw a couple pillows in there, but for the most part, you're going to get it in the condition that is described. Because Amazon, they don't play games. They don't play games. If you start selling, get enough complaints, they'll shut you down, right?
yeah,
eBay,
exactly. Yeah,
eBay, you got a lot more leeway with eBay than you would ever with Amazon. So I don't know. I mean, I think that's part of the answer right there. I think as sellers, we need to do better, but I think, unfortunately, I think too many sellers, and probably not the ones watching this program, but too many sellers out there just throw it in some random box, or don't put enough padding. They just send it off, and then they think that's the end of it, right? It's not putting the care into everything you do as far as being a reseller. I think that's what's lacking a lot. Because I bought stuff on eBay before, and it's like, really, I would never have shipped it this way.
yeah. All you got to do is tell me in the description too if there's an issue, and if I want to, I can buy it, and if not, that's fine. But just let me know. You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
but they think maybe you'll let it slide, right?
Yeah, yeah, exactly.
I didn't think he'd notice. It's like that one time I went to a pizza place a long time ago, and I ordered a pizza with pepperoni and mushroom, right? And she came back and she delivered me a pepperoni pizza. And I said, "Where's the mushrooms?" She's all, "Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't think you'd notice." So you know about this? Oh man, I didn't think you'd notice.
Didn't think you
But
would notice the mushrooms was missing.
oh man, I'm like, that's horrible customer service. I didn't think So you knew that I probably would know. Well, I probably let it slide. No. Let's see. We got Carol C says, "Hi, John," and "Hi, Ed. Welcome."
How you doing, Carol?
And Biscuit Butt says, I like to see what sold, not out thrifting. What solds let me know what is actually selling in it, for how much. Thrifting vids don't sell me any of that. Yeah, that's one thing I got to tell you. The whole what sold thing, too many people do the what sold. And it's almost like, even on some of the channels, and there's a lot of channels that do this, they'll put 75% of what sold, and they'll put a big headline about what they're going to talk about, but they interweave it with what sold. And it's like,
Right. Right.
and it's like to build up the watch time and this, that, and the other thing. It's like, come on, I don't do that. I mean, if I'm going to make a video, and I've been very rare when I make a video about what sold, it's kind of going to be to prove a point that I'm talking about as the main subject, not just to lengthen my video, that type of thing. And I mean, I get a lot of people that probably don't like me because I do criticize, but I'm a viewer as well. I won't watch those videos.
I don't really like, I'll listen to certain YouTubers, but I don't want to see what sold about stuff I don't sell. That's for sure, right? If I don't sell it, I don't watch it. But I think if you sell in a certain category, let's say clothing, you watching what sold. I don't know. I feel like your time might be better spent actually finding something that works for you, because like it might not be in your area where that person got. Like, you don't know what goes behind that. You know
Exactly.
what I mean? So I feel like it's almost a waste of time.
Well, I got a question to those who watch that type of content. How many times you watch a what sold and then you went out and found that exact thing at a yard sale? Probably not, right? I mean, maybe, but it's probably less likely than
Less
likely.
likely, for sure, less likely.
So it's like, what kind of information are you gaining? Because I could tell you, I can't remember what I watched last year, and if I find an item that was on a what sold video a year and a half ago, and I go to a yard sale, I probably already forgot about it.
Well, it's the lottery ticket effect, man. You feel like you watch it, and then you might be the one to find it, and you can make some money off of it too. So I feel like they got that, like, oh well, I'm gonna just be on the lookout for this, and if I find it, I can make $30 or I can make 40 or whatever it is.
That's right, but it doesn't always work that way, right?
Most time it don't. No.
Usually, like, we're talking about something like retail arbitrage, like Bearded Picker was talking about this when he had that monopoly. I don't know, I think monopoly from millennials or something like that. And he went out and bought all his, and he sold most of his before he even told the public about it.
Right.
As the public got on it, it was like the prices just dropped, right? So
yeah,
usually by the time you get that information, the market's already adjusted anyway. So let's see, what do we got here? We got LSGS Rob, Sub Johnny and Eddie. How's your guys' sales so far this month? I can't complain.
Yeah, not bad, man. Not bad at all.
And guess what? We got the great
Craigslist Hunter
watching. Thank you for being here.
2 hours.
Yeah, he does that once in a while, but it's awesome that we'll have some pretty good big channels like Pete that they've been doing this for a long time, and they want to help people, and they show the insides of what they got going on, and a lot of people learn from that. So
no, he's a good dude, man. He's a good dude.
Oh, he is, and we'll be seeing him out in Cincinnati here in a few weeks. I can't wait to see him, Kevin, Commonwealth Picker, see Cincinnati Picker, and I think it'll be out there.
I want to go to one of these events too. I was just thinking about that not too long ago. I'm like, man, I gotta see what one of these things are going to be kind of close to me or something, and try to make my way out there.
Yeah, well, we're doing I think they're doing the what do they call it? The seller remix out here in October. I think that's
in Vegas.
Put on by one of the cross listing programs, and they do that. I was actually at a little get together, a local eBay get together. We have Vicky and Katie, and they're out here on the other side of town, but they had a little get together, and they were talking about how it may be worth just doing. So I think I might actually pony up was it $250 or $300 to go do it. It's not really so much about the money for me, it's about the time, about the lost time. So you go to these events, and that's time that I can't list, right? And that's been always my problem. Even going on vacation, I mean, my mind's not 100% on vacation, even though it should be. It's on the business, right? And one thing I can report to those of you who like to use the time away feature, it don't work. Okay, it didn't work for me. And I use the time away feature because for whatever reason, it used to be that I could go in and I could say, okay, I'm going to be gone for 5 days. I'm going to put 3 days handling because I have same day right now. 3 days handling. So that way it pushes it up against the weekend and I don't have to ship it out till Monday when I get back. Right. So I tried to do that this time. I even did end items sell similar. I went and changed my business policies to reflect 3 day handling, and my listing still showed same day handling, even like that night. So I'm like, okay, this isn't right. Maybe it's because I have offers out. So I went and ended items sell similar, same thing, showed it's going to ship out tomorrow. I had someone that bought something and it said you're going to ship it out tomorrow. So we had to jump on that, get it put out here, and we had someone that was here for the FedEx person. So my thing is, okay, now I guess I'm going to have to use the time away feature. So I went and used the time away feature, and it worked. The few sales that I did get, they didn't have to ship it out until we got back. But it wasn't until the time away feature shut off, my sales went nuts. I had only a couple $100 in sales on the Thursday and Friday. I had like $700-800 in sales on, this is the holiday weekend, on Saturday, Sunday, and Monday. We had big sales, and that's with the time away feature being turned off, back to my normal same day handling. So I'm thinking that maybe, at least in my shoes, I've never had success with the time away feature.
Didn't Kevin just say he had some issues with that? I think he went on vacation or did something recently, and he said he had some issues with that.
I think so. I don't go on vacation. I mean, this is the longest I've stayed away from my business is 4 or 5 days. And
Yeah.
that's including the weekend time. So it's really not more than, a couple, 2, 3, 4 days that I have to set the handling time. But if that's not working, if I go in and adjust my handling time and by the next day it's not kicked in, it's going to suck. But I guess I'm going to have to use the time away. But I think it's going to hurt my sales. And it did for me until the weekend. And it's one time, maybe next time it'll be different. But I know people
I would think eBay. I'm not going to say they suppress your store. I don't think they do that, but I definitely think that they would promote other sellers who are going to actually ship it sooner over you. So they're definitely going to push your listings down over somebody who has a faster shipping time. That's what I think.
I think so, because again, most people, as we know, don't read most of the stuff. How many people actually go on and buy your item and look to see when this thing's going to get to me? The range of dates, right?
Yeah.
Some do, but some will assume that you're going to ship this out right away. How many times you've been out, out away, and someone sent you a message after they bought an item like a day or two later, when are you going to ship this? Right? I've had it happen before when I had it set for 3 days handling. When are you going to ship this? Right? You have to explain, well, we won't ship it till Monday,
People
right?
barely read titles. I get questions of things that's in the title, so I know they don't read scroll down and read the item description and all of that.
Right. But now they get this banner at the top of your listing, this seller's away. And I think that's going to push people away from buying because they see it. It's right in front of their face. And, or I do, like you said, I do think because eBay knows all this, they want to promote the best buying experience they can. Mm-hmm. And that is to promote the people who are willing to ship it out faster. That's why I'm a big proponent of setting a time. Like I set mine for 9 a.m. and I have it same day. So after 9 a.m. you buy it, it's going out tomorrow. But that qualifies as same day. And
right. That's what I do. I do all pretty much same day, next day shipping.
Yeah. I think it's just, that's what eBay wants. I just think that, it's easier to say 3 days. I know sometimes people have their situation. Maybe they're doing this part-time. This isn't their full-time gig, and they just don't have the time to ship on a daily basis. Right. But I think if we do a lot of these things, like maybe use promoted listings, maybe go in and change the same day or at least 1 day handling, do a lot of these things collectively, it'll help our listings in search, I think.
Well, no, and that's good. Funny you say that, because the video I just made, I was talking about the newsletter thing, right?
Yeah.
And somebody had commented how it didn't work for them and things like that. And for me, I'm just thinking, like, when you run into business, especially an eBay business, whatever, right? You have to take a holistic approach. It's not just one thing, right? It's multiple things that in congruence that work congruently to help you have a more successful business. It's not to say you can't be successful, but if you want to get the most out of it, so if you on eBay, yeah, a newsletter might not like give you some exponential explosion in sales, but that in you know, with some of the other tools that they provide, I think if you use all of that, you'll have more an advantage over the sellers that don't use it.
Right,
So,
right.
you know, and I think it just all, you know, kind of collectively works to help you have more sales and to be more consistent over time.
Right. I think if you look at it, there's 15 things that eBay wants you to do to your listings. Maybe one of those things is promoted. Maybe another thing is, utilizing coupons, markdown sales, good titles, photos, price,
Right.
item description that has good keywords in it. Right.
Right.
If 10 to 15 things, one thing ain't going to make or break you. So
Right.
if you're doing none of that stuff and say, okay, I'm going to start promoting like John says, and I ain't getting any sales because maybe the other 9 things you ain't doing right. So if you're collectively fixing all these things, then I think you're going to see, and I think one of the biggest things is at the top of the list is I know a lot of people don't want to hear me say this, but what you're selling has a huge part of that equation. But if you're doing all of the things that you should be doing and you're in tune with the market, there's no reason why you can't make sales on this platform.
Yeah, for sure. And I think people overlook I know it's hard because it's online and most of the time you will never come across a certain buyer, but trying to make a connection to a buyer that you may or may not ever have buy from you again, but at least trying. I think that when you do that, you're always going to be ahead of the people who don't, because your customer service is going to be better. You'll have better items, you'll have a better experience. And like I had said in the video, is that if you sell related items, that person would be more likely to purchase from you again, to save your store, purchase from you again, even if it costs more than somebody else, because they trust you.
Yeah. And it does speak to you. I don't do the whole newsletter thing, but I can see how it can really, we're dealing with perceptions, right? When we're resellers, we don't know the next person that's buying from us. They don't know us either, right? So when they buy from you, and you do all these things, you are quick to answer their messages, you send out a news, like you said, a newsletter. I think I could see how that can actually build customer confidence in you, and think, you know what, I've had bad experiences on eBay. Maybe the first time I look for buying whatever, I'll look at this store first because I want that same experience, right? I can tell you there's Mr. Pete from Craigslist Hunter. I can tell you that he has I thought he had a newsletter, because I used to receive a little thing that would come up, and maybe it's because I had his store saved a long time ago. But whenever he'd put out something like early in the morning, I'd get it like 2 a.m. I think he did it something at 5 a.m. And I don't know if he does this anymore, but it would be like all the things that, he has, the key things he has for sale on eBay. And, I think it's a good look. I just think it's a good look. It keeps you in the forethought of your previous buyer that, you're selling these things and maybe to come look for you. But it's one thing I haven't implemented yet. And if things start slowing down for me, maybe I'll look into something like that. But, that's why I haven't cross-listed a whole lot in the last. Jenna does a lot of that on the other account, but I just haven't had the need to, because stuff is selling so well currently that I don't really need to do a whole lot more adjusting to what I have.
And I see in the background, you don't have all those cases behind you no more either, man.
They're almost gone. I'm down to literally 6. And I have
that was your wall for a minute there.
It was, and it changed the sound in here, so the sound is a little different. So I need to get a shelf in here and put up some of my. So I think I'm gonna put some supplies in here and make some room out there for from some storage, that type of thing. Let's see. You hear the helicopters? Omri Squaw says they're getting close. 3 helicopters up right now. For looking for that guy.
PA.
Yeah. No One Design says, I'm a niche seller. I don't ever reveal specific items, but petroleum is involved. Let the imagination go wild. Wow. Salami sandwich. What can you say? Ferret fans in the house says, I've watched a few of Ed's videos. Great content. I've had 2 missing packages from USPS right now, and I watched his video about USPS insurance denying claims.
Thanks, Ferret fans. Appreciate it.
Well, you know what? I think it's just like any other insurance company. They're in business to keep your money. They're not in business to pay you, right?
Definitely. Definitely.
I mean, try having like some type of insurance claim, like someone breaks in your house, steals something. Maybe you have an issue. They're depreciating the value. They're asking you how old it is. You have receipts. You have photos. It's crazy because they're trying to not pay you. That's 100% for sure. Let's see. What do we got here? Ping G says some of the items I have could be considered antique since they are over 20 years old. Well, that would be vintage. Just waiting for the right buyer. So yeah, vintage over 20, antique over 100. But yeah, I see what you're saying. And then, on the whole question that Mike had earlier, his cost on the trumpet was $5.
Oh man, I don't know. I might have took that and just went on along with it. I don't know. Me personally, I'm a fast flip type of person, so
Mhm.
I really don't try to like haggle if it's a reasonable price.
Same here. I mean, look, if someone comes at me with an offer and it's like not quite where I'm at on eBay, and I just listed the item, I'm gonna come back and say, look, I just listed this item. I'm willing to go down here, right?
Mm-hmm.
But if that same item's been on my account for say 3 weeks, maybe a month, and they come at me with, I want 80, they come at me with 40, and I'm into it for 5 or 10.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, what am I? Am I going to wait for the unicorn buyer? Am I going to keep waiting and maybe they'll magically appear? I mean, eBay is a magical atmosphere now. I mean, they've actually come out and said they have magical innovation. So maybe we're going to have more unicorns. But I'm not going to wait around for that. I'll let someone else do that, and I'm going to just take it. And now I'm going to reconsider. Am I going to buy this item again when it pops up? Probably not, right? And
Hey
if I
man,
do,
I'll
it's
tell
going
you,
to be
I've
cheap.
I've, I've, I've declined offers before, and next thing I know, I get no views, no nothing on that item. It's just like it falls off the face of the map. So if it's a
Yeah.
reasonable offer, I just accept it. Like you said, especially if it's already been sitting for a little bit.
Yeah, I'll play the three strikes game with them. I will. Okay, strike one, you gave me a bad offer, and so I'm going to come back and say I'll take 60. I won't take 40, and this is the best I can do between fees and my costs. This is as low as I can go, and I'll put. Please note, I do not play the haggle game that some sellers play on eBay. This is our best price, and you'll be surprised how many people just take my price. Now, the other ones that come back and say, okay, 45. That's strike two, and um, I'll put really this is the best price I can go. I'll come back at 60, and I'll say this is your last chance to get this deal, right? And a lot of times they'll take it, but even the few that still try to come back at say 50, decline.
You
Game
nicer
over.
than me. So listen, if somebody come to you, if the first offer is a super disrespectful offer, right? You selling
Mhm.
it for 65, they say $5. Do you respond or do you
I do. I
counter
do.
offer?
I do. And chances are they're not going to buy it. But if there's a 1 to 2% chance that I can get these people off the crack pipe and hitting the accept button, then I'm going to take it. And I'm going to explain why I can't sell it for $5. Look, this is why I can't sell it. And, a lot of people say that's a waste of time. But you know what? It's the same thing as if you're working on a car lot. Let's say you're a car salesman. You see someone roll up in some dingy shorts, maybe a stained shirt, and they're looking at cars. Is that going to stop you from going up to them and saying, hey, let me help you buy a car? Right? Maybe they're just killing time, but maybe they got a lot of money. You don't know what. So I can't take that first person who came with a bad offer and assume that they're not serious. Yeah, there's a good chance they're not. But what's the alternative? Hit the decline button, and I ain't never going to get a sale from them at all, right? I think a lot of people take it personally. And I think in business, you got to try to take
Sometimes I take it personal. I ain't even gonna lie.
well, I take it personal. This is what I get mad. I'm not mad about bad offers. I'll tell you what I get mad about. And I don't get really mad. I get like, what the heck?
Just like
I'll get,
annoying. Yeah.
I'll get a question at like 11 o'clock at night. Can you check the measurements on this? Or can you check to see if, so I'll get the heck up out of bed. I'll go in the garage. I'll turn the lights on and I'll take the thing out of the box and I'll look at it and go, okay, this is compatible with this, that. So I'll reply back to them and then I never hear back from them again.
Yeah.
It's like,
Out of
man,
10 times, when I've answered questions like that, I probably got a 20%, maybe 2 out of every 10 will actually buy it after I answer their question. So like
Yeah.
honestly, if I'm not, I got to be in a really good mood to actually go and pull something out and do all of that, because it just hasn't been proven to be worth it.
But it is, because look, if you
You think
got,
so?
look, I think so. I think if 0% of the time, if you answered those questions, let's say, you know what, I ain't answered this question. It's 10 o'clock at night. Maybe you know the answer, but you know what, I ain't doing it. Well, guess what? What's going to happen with that buyer? They ain't going to sit around waiting for you. They got something they want to buy. They're going to go to the next person and they're going to buy it eventually. Now, I think if you get back to them in a timely manner, it sends a couple things. A, gives them the answer they're looking for, and B, it tells them, wow, that's fast. You got back to me in a timely manner. And chances are, if they're that quick to get back to me with an answer of some sort, they're not going to leave me ghosted, especially if they've had bad experiences on eBay where they
Right.
try to email the buyer and the buyer into the seller and the seller never gets back to them. Well, that's going to set a good, we talk about good first impression. I think right there, it sets a good first impression. There's so many times I get people that the first thing that they reply with is, wow, thank you for the fast reply. Okay. I get that so
So
many
those are
times.
good points. Those are good points. Do you think the value of the item will determine whether or not you get up out of bed and go check or not?
Me? No, I'll go check almost every time.
Yeah.
And because look, you said 2 out of 10, right?
Yeah.
So who here wouldn't want an extra 20% of sales?
No,
All
yeah,
because
for sure, for sure.
service, right? So it's all, to me, it's an opportunity. You give me an opportunity to make a sale, I'm going to take it. I remember one time I was driving and I got a little message on my phone, and I'm on a 20-minute drive. I'm in my phone trying to answer the question. Okay. I'm answering that message. I'm trying to get the answer and answering that message. I'm driving when I shouldn't be doing that, because it's an opportunity to get a sale. And that's, I mean, otherwise, I mean, what are we doing this for? We are salespeople, whether we like it or not. And I think that sometimes we think this is a set it and forget it kind of thing. We list it, we're done. We don't have to look at the listing again until it sells, and we don't have to talk to people. And some people don't even answer their messages. Well, I think
Yeah,
that's bad.
I know. That's
eBay
bad.
has come out and said, when they were talking about this whole, we're going to show your information to the buyer. Okay. They came out and said that if you get enough issues with your account, that they're going to make you start showing your address information in the listing. And they're going to start looking at how fast you reply back to a customer's
Right.
concern. That's why if they come back, if I say, thank you, and they say, you're welcome, I'm coming back with the thumbs up. Okay. I want to be the last word as a seller, because I don't want eBay to think I left that person hanging, because I know they're not looking at the message. They say, you're welcome, and I just got through. I think that's the end of it. I'm going to thumbs up, right? So that eBay knows that I'm on top of that message, because I know internally, the algorithm looks at all these things. You're going to get a lot of people that say, no, that's not a thing. But why would they talk about it? Why would Mercari have a button for you? If you sell on Mercari, you know they have a button that says you're a fast responder. Okay.
Right.
Well, how do they know?
Right.
They know because their metrics say how fast you reply to a customer. So I'm a big stickler on
I
customer.
always respond too. As far as like most, sometimes I don't. If it's like, hey, if it's in the listing, I'll say it's in the listing, something like that, right? But I do know that Walmart, and I think I told you this in a comment, they measure response rate. So you got 48 hours to respond to every message, and if you get below a certain percentage, you start getting the emails and stuff like that. But they actually measure that, so I wouldn't be surprised if eBay does it behind the scenes too.
Right. But if you never reply to a customer, you never respond in a timely manner, maybe you let a day or two go by before you get back to someone. Do you really think eBay is going to look at you at as the type of seller that they
No.
want to promote high up in search?
No.
And I know I'm going to get flack for this as well, but I think that there is something to the customer service side of what we do that a lot of people overlook, that ties directly into our performance on eBay. And a lot of people will talk about wanting to do better, but yet there's a lot of things they need to do better in many facets, from the listing to the customer service experience.
You got to think from the business aspect, it probably costs eBay more money too, because if you're not communicating with the buyer, well, then now that person's going to probably want to call eBay. And Now that's more time that their reps are on the phone. And so it's
Yeah.
backing up their system because you don't want to take care of your business. So now it's like they got to run your business and they don't want to have to do that. So it's like you need to respond to your customers, you know?
How many negative feedbacks do you think are as a result of you taking your sweet time to get back to that upset customer?
Yeah, for sure.
No one wants to deal with that. That's the least pleasant. When you get that chime on your phone, it's like, oh no, right? I'm hoping it's Uber Eats because they have the same chime, right? That pops up, but it ain't it, right? It's eBay, and usually it's a message, and I go, oh no, what did I do this time? But I ain't gonna sit and wait for the buyer to go away. The next thing they're gonna do is leave a negative feedback if you don't get back to them in a timely manner, and or open a case, maybe a return that you could resolve by simply replying back to them and helping them out with their problem.
Well, especially if it's somebody who already bought from you. If it's somebody who's just asking a general question, haven't made the purchase, and you take your time answering, that's up to you, whatever. But if they already made the purchase, like I've never taken my time answering someone who's already made a purchase from me. You know what I mean? It's like, all right, there's an issue, let's fix it, or whatever the question is. I'm not going to waste time on that, you know?
Yeah, unless you're in a movie theater or you're in the middle of driving somewhere.
Yeah.
Get back to the buyer as fast as possible. Even if you don't have the answer, say, hey, you know what? Thanks for the question. I'm going to find the answer for you. I'm going to get back to you in the next hour, whatever, right? I think that will play better than it just ghosting the buyer, Let's see. We have Rosie Games says, hello, everyone. Thanks for being here. And then we have Maya says, I don't think eBay even knows what it wants to be. First, it wants to be Amazon, then wants to be Motors site. Now the CEO only wants high-priced items. Yeah, they're looking to attract higher end customers or buyers, and they even classified the buyers in like 2 or 3 tiers based on what their buying habits are, and they're trying to get more of the higher end people. So if you're selling a $5 item and you're specializing in $5 and $10 items, is eBay really going to promote you because they're not really promoting the low end buyer? If that makes sense.
Yeah, that's a good comment too. I wonder, do eBay are they really having an identity crisis right now? That's a good. I mean, and I wonder what other consumers who shop, like, how do they perceive eBay? What do they think? Like, what is eBay's identity to them? It ain't an auction site no more. So, like, what is eBay?
A good question. Maybe they're trying to be a mix of everything. It sounds that's kind of like what they're trying to do. If they're considering trying to be like Whatnot, they for years wanted to be like Amazon, and I don't know. That's a good question. That's one that only apparently it's a new site that has magical innovations. I haven't heard any site try to be that. So maybe they're trying to.
I'm still waiting for those magical innovations.
And you get these magical innovations, and then your seller sends you a box of Lucky Charms.
Oh man.
John Gaynor says, hi, John. Question: what is the most important thing you or your guest does to get a customer to come back in what you do? What percentage of your customers come back? Thanks. I could tell you, John, for me, and I'll let Ed go into his side. I could tell you I don't get many repeat buyers. That's just me. I don't. When I look at the numbers, I don't really. What about you, Ed?
I do get a lot of repeat buyers. He said, what's the most important thing you or your guest does to get a customer to come back? So for me, because I worked in food service for so long, customer service is important. Even if I got an attitude, sometimes I'll still kind of catch myself. So I always make sure that there's a good experience from the time that I got to pull that item until I don't hear from that customer again. It's basically like customer service, right? Because it has to get there the way that, in a safe way, the way I described it. When they get it, if there's any questions, if there's any issues, I got to follow up. So just to make sure that experience from start to finish is as seamless, easy, and like problem-free as possible. That's first. And then on eBay, I do get a lot. So I think the last time I checked in the video, I had like 10% return customers. That's kind of skewed because if they buy more than one item, then that's a return customer or repeat. But I get a good amount of repeat customers on eBay, but that's mostly because I sell a lot of the similar type items in the same category. So
I think that's why. I mean,
right.
I think if you're selling in a niche, you're more, you're going to get better play with, like you're talking about, newsletter, right? That type of thing. Sending out private coupons does, look, if I have one pair of size 12 shoes that's in my store, right? and they buy this pair of size 12 shoes, and I send them a coupon like come back and save 10%. Well, if I don't have a size 12 shoe, they better be needing a toilet seat or something crazy like I'm selling. Otherwise, it ain't going to work. I tried at one point a couple years ago to print out these labels, and I put them through my thermal printer with a cool little thank you and use code value trends, whatever, to get 10% off your next purchase. And it was a private coupon. And do you know how many people took advantage of that after 6 months?
Probably zero.
Zero. So I went through all that trouble, and it's like, why? Well, look at it. If they bought, I don't know, a CD from you, and then the next time they're looking for the same type of CD, but that's the only one you had, well, they probably ain't gonna buy from you again. So all I did was drive them to my listings, to my store, drive up my page views for no reason because they can't find what they're looking for, or drive up my impressions and I'm not converting that sale because I don't have what they're looking for. So for me, I push the public coupons over the private ones because I don't sell in a niche. If I sold in a niche, it would be a different thing. Like, I mean, for you, that'd be perfect. You sell health and beauty, you get those those little labels. They're thermal labels. They're like, you get any color you want, and it's like $20 for like, I think 1,000 on Amazon. And you run them through your thermal printer that you have for your labels, and with the same message, and you slap those on, your health and beauty, I think you'd get maybe an uptick in sales, even if it's 5 to 10%.
Yeah, no, I'm almost close enough to 700 followers in the store. So, but that's why. But I was going to say this then. Let me ask you this question.
Yeah.
What do you think then is better for a long-term stable business then? Okay. So like how you said with the type of business you're running right now, not that you can't run that long-term. I'm not saying that, but what do you think is better, to do that and to always be having that change up, or to try to kind of make it to where you can build that customer community as much as it's able to be built on a platform like eBay by selling in specific types of categories and having similar items so that you can have that repeat traffic more often than not? Because I feel like maybe that might carry you through those tougher times. So what do you think about that?
I think if in a perfect world, if I could niche out, say 1 or 2 or 3 categories within a store, let's say we're talking like maybe like men's athletic shoes, maybe some work boots, and maybe 2 or 3 different niches, right, into one store, if I would do it in a heartbeat. But the biggest problem is sourcing. It's so hard to find, 2 to 3 suppliers that can get you that supply every week or whenever you need it. And that's what prevents a lot of people from niching out. They don't have the sourcing that's going to give you that constant supply. The last thing you want to do is say, okay, I'm going to have these 3 niches, and now things are going good for a few weeks, and then that person's not around anymore, or that, you thought you were going to be able to get more of this and you can't. And now you're back to, well, I guess I got to sell everything again. So all those things we try to do to build up a customer base doesn't mean anything anymore, because they ain't going to want to buy random stuff. They're looking for more shoes, or, you know what I mean? Like more health and beauty for you.
No, I know what you mean.
So that's the biggest thing. I've always said that niching is probably the best way to sell on eBay, but you got to be able to pull it off. You have to have that constant supply. And that's my thing. I can't constantly supply one particular store with a particular type of item. Like I think No One Design, I think Ping G, I think a few others at Watch, they are able to do it because of their supply. Like Tommy Bernard, he's not here for whatever reason, but he gets his shoes in, and it's because he has a consistent supply that he can rely on. So the other 90% of us, we have to pretty much find what sells and just work with it. Now,
do you find yourself, do you think you're going to stick with the type of model you got, or do you think like eventually you may kind of work slowly toward doing that, or do you think you comfortable where you at?
I mean, I don't ever want to say I'm comfortable. I mean, I'm not comfortable. I'm not happy with even how things are going right now. Things are going fine with the numbers, but I feel like I can do better. But as far as like changing it, I mean, I don't know what's going to happen in a year from now. If you would have asked told me where I would be right now as compared to last year, I would have been like, wow, I've been really surprised. But I mean, maybe in a year I get to have that opportunity to do that. But I think what I would do is I would run multiple stores, kind of like what I'm doing right now. I would
Yeah.
take that clearance store, move all that merchandise out, niche out that existing account, and keep what I'm doing going. If that makes sense.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, and this is one thing also. Josh Galt, he has a channel that he does
Yeah. I
a
watch
daily,
him.
and he was talking today about the idea of, eBay wants us to switch or, transform our stuff to higher ASP, more demand items, and get rid of the stuff that's holding our store back when it comes to the traffic metrics or the conversion rate that eBay
Right.
looks at. And he's like, I just don't know how to do it. You're sitting on $100,000 worth of low end items. What do you do?
Yeah.
And I put a little remark in his video saying, look, go get an InkFrog account, open up a second store. If you don't already have one already, maybe you have a second eBay account, maybe turn that into a seller's account and move all through InkFrog. There's a way to do it. It's really easy. Move all those listings over to that second store and get those items out of your main store and fix your ASP of your main store and treat that other store as a clearance item store. Do all the things you were doing before, but in this case, you're working two stores, and that should at least help get your higher value stuff, at least better conversion rates in your store. I think that's kind of what I did when I didn't just leave all my stuff in my main store. When I started finding higher ASP, I moved like 75% of the crap, and I'll call it crap, over to my secondary store. And I still have some crap in there, but it's only because of my phobia of having too small of a store. I'm only under 200 items.
Right.
And it's focusing on my main store and those few items. I'm making good money doing that. It's worked
So
for me.
when you was thinking, like when you was going through all of that last year, having trouble with inventory, trying to figure out what to do, and I know you say pretty often about how you was like this far away from going to get a job and stuff. What made you kind of like figure out, okay, you know what, this is an area where probably not that much competition? Because we were talking about this before the show. How
Yeah.
I felt like, people don't realize, like, just to pivot, first of all, that's commendable, because a lot of people kind of just cry and whine and don't. So you took action there, but then to say, okay, I don't like this stuff, but there's probably an opportunity here. Like, what kind of brought you to that conclusion?
My checking account brought me to that conclusion. It did. I mean, I was driving. I'll be honest with you. I'd say from October to the beginning of January, I was driving Uber Eats, making $20 to $25 an hour.
Checking to do it for sure.
Supplement the lack of sales. I mean, I didn't mind doing it. It was kind of a break, but it was definitely more of a grind. And I'm the kind of person that's going to find an answer to at least take care of what I got to take care of. So the idea of me going and getting a job, yeah, we kind of tossed it around, but I knew when I did the math, even back then, what I was making was more than $20 an hour.
Mm-hmm.
And me being so far removed from the workforce, who's going to give me a $75,000 to $80,000 a year job?
Right.
I don't think many people at all. There's jobs out there. You can go to the Popeyes right now, and they're going to have a sign up saying we're hiring, right? But I'm not trying to make $10 an hour, $15 an hour. I could do that in a bad year, right? And all it takes is better stuff. So if that's the answer, that's what I did. I found better stuff. Yes. I mean, look, this is the same kind of stuff that when Archie came to my house, we're talking big Bluetooth speakers. They were sitting in my garage because I didn't want to mess with it. I didn't want to ship large, heavy items, right?
Yeah.
Number one, my back sucks and it was hard on my back. But number two, I just didn't want to be bothered with it. Well, it's making myself accept that I have to sell those kind of things. And that's what I'm doing right now. Larger, heavier items. And you know what? I've grown on it. Wasn't something I was really looking forward to, but I know it's working. When you start seeing those sales roll in, when you start seeing the money hit your checking account, and instead of having to worry about, am I going to be able to, get enough money up for this, that, and the other thing, I got a little money in the bank that I can go on a little vacation and not worry about it.
Yeah.
That kind of thing. And there's something about, it's called a peace of mind, right? There's no price tag you can place on that. But if you can find a place, a way to get yourself in that peace of mind, man, it's like my only problem is shipping a big item.
Yeah,
No.
for sure. And I would think that at this point now it's easier for you than it will be in the, because that's the thing in the beginning, right? It's like, dang, I ain't got this box, I got to do this, I don't got this space. But now as you do it more, you might not be in a specific niche or category per se, but because you sell all these similar types of items, it's easier to have your whole setup kind of like prepared to process those types of items and get them out. So it's a little bit easier at this point, I would think, right?
Yeah. I mean, we have it down to a T. Jenna, she's expressed her um, lack of desire to list like a lot of people do. So we have her worked out where she'll get up and she'll, unless it's a large item, she'll get those items, she'll go in and pack them up really good and make sure they're boxed properly. And I'll just go out and there's a stack of stuff ready to go. I'll pull it in the morning and I'll just run labels, right? It's sort of our process that we do. And we're making it work, right? And because look, the only reason why we do this, like most of you, is because we're doing this to make money, right? Doing it for no other reason. And that's what kills me. It's like because I've been there, I've been through the tough part of reselling where it's like this ain't working, right? So if the goal is to make money, to cover our bills, to have a little bit left over when we're done, and you finally find something that could work, but you'd rather not because you'd rather sell that. It just blows my mind how many people will refuse to make that uncomfortable move to get them to the end goal of making money because they don't want to be uncomfortable. And that's what it is. You got to get yourself uncomfortable. I think who said it? Was it Steve Harvey? He said something that you have to get uncomfortable before you will succeed. Okay, you can't just have
There's a lot
things.
of truth to that, for sure.
I mean, you can't just go through life expecting it to be handed to you. So, I can sell this 8-ounce item, and the same thing that sold 10 years ago, and now I'm selling it and it's not working. Well, I guess I'll find a different type of 8-ounce item. Don't get me wrong, small items do sell and they sell well, but I think that was holding me back is I didn't want to sell heavy stuff. I didn't want to deal with the return. Right. I didn't want to deal with the buying big boxes, putting money into stuff. I think that was the wrong mindset. I think where I'm at now is leaps and bounds further along than I was, say, a year ago. And I'm not afraid to say it.
Do you think reselling then? I was thinking about this to myself the other day, man. I said, I think this probably got to be the only business model where failure probably it's almost fail proof. And the only reason I say that is this. I know because you listen to enough people and you'll think that everybody's failing, right? But the reason I say that is this, because there's just so many ways you can do it if you're willing to put in the work. If you're willing to, there's always going to be a hard, right? It don't matter. If you're doing small items that don't sell for much and you got to do volume, well, that's that. If you're doing bigger, it don't. But there's so many niches. If you're willing to put in the research, put in the time and effort, there's so many things you can sell. There's so many platforms now. I mean, people are having success on platforms that ain't eBay, it ain't Amazon, it could be whatnot, it can be Facebook. They're doing lives, there's just so many ways to do it. I feel like if you just willing to put in the work, man, I feel like you just can't fail. It just might take some work to figure out, kind of what your lane is and what you like doing. And once you get in there, I think you'll be good.
But you just said something, a key thing. You hit it right on the head. Putting in the work. I think so many people think that reselling is an alternative to their 9-to-5 because it's not the same kind of work. And then they get into reselling and they're like, wow, this is harder than I thought it would be.
Right.
Well, yeah. I mean, if you're not making sales, I guess it's real easy, right? You don't have anything to ship. You don't have anyone to talk to that's asking you questions, right? But if you are making, you don't have to deal with returns either, right?
Right. Customer service, nothing.
Yeah, those are all things you want. If you're not getting all those things, you're not getting returns, you're not getting buyers asking you questions. If you're not shipping out items, right, then, you're failing. And a lot of people want to avoid those things, right? Because it's extra work.
Yeah.
So you can't have it both ways. You have to be able to be willing to put in the work to succeed. I don't care what you're trying to sell on this platform. And I think it's those people who put in the work more consistently, because that's what eBay wants is consistency. you're going to find that even some of the less desirable things, you're going to still get sales where other people aren't going to get as as good as sales, if that makes sense. Because my other account, it seems like whenever we get more consistent, because we're not consistent on that account at all. I'll just tell you that right now. And when we start getting consistent listening, getting a groove going, that's when I notice the numbers go up, right? So I don't know. I think there's a lot
because
to it.
most people are not consistent. So if you just if you can be consistent, you're going to be so far ahead of the majority of sellers because they don't. They don't answer the questions. They don't try to make better titles and do a little bit more read. They don't do the extra things. And so if you just do a little bit more every day, it don't matter. Like you said, it could be some less desirable items, but they'll probably sell because the next guy ain't putting in as much effort and work as you are.
Right. Because the next guy ain't looking into, okay, why is my competitor selling the same thing, but I'm not, right? The first guy is just going to be like, well, it must be a problem on eBay because I put this item up. It sold for me before, but they don't know that the market's changed because they haven't done the homework. They just think it's a set it and forget it. And then the other seller, the next guy, he's doing the homework going, wow, this person did it with free shipping, or this person had this photo. This person sold it this way, or maybe they priced it this way. And I didn't even realize that the market's changed on the side.
Yeah.
So they're willing to put the extra work in. And who do you think is going to get better results? The person that's willing to spend a little extra time researching items they've already listed, or the person that just lists items and think that the items are going to take care of themselves? I think it's the person who's willing to do the extra work, right?
Yeah,
so
all the time.
It's one of those places where if you want it bad enough, through your actions, through your channels like this, channels like yours, that give out good advice. Here's some things you should consider doing. They watch these videos, they comment how they don't agree, and they don't even bother to try. And then they wonder why they're not getting the sales. Well, it could be the market. We talk about that all the time, but it could be that you're not putting in the same work. I guarantee you, eBay is one of those sites where if you put in the work, you put in the hard work, you're going to get better results than the person selling the same thing that doesn't put in the same work.
Yeah, I think every time you will, for sure.
Yeah, and it boils down to what you're selling. Don't get me wrong, but if we're trying to compare apples to apples, one clothing seller to another, this clothing seller does just what the bare minimum, I call it, and this person does. They treat it like a business. They go through and they are, because if you're really doing this right, you don't have enough time in a day to do everything you need to do.
No, you don't. You definitely don't.
But if you're listing 10 items a day and you're watching, Breaking Bad in the living room every, evening, vegging out on 5 episodes, guess what? You're not doing as well as this other person who's using that same time. Now, no one's saying you should work 9 to 9, but if you're treating it as an 8-hour business, this is your full-time job, part-time, whatever time you can put into it, and you're just looking for the bare minimum, this isn't the business for you. That's just my opinion. Unless you're selling stuff.
I think I kind of agree with you, man, because, you even got people who want to be full-time or say they full-time, but they don't want to work past a certain time or whatever. And I get that, right? You got things in life going on, but if this is full-time, it's full-time. When I was managing restaurants, I was managing when I wasn't at the store. I had to answer the phone when something happened or anything like that. Like, yeah, I wasn't at work, but it's my responsibility. So, like, when I'm doing this reselling, it's always, like, honestly, I always got ideas and things floating around in my head. So even when I'm not at home, it's just like, oh, man, I should have did this, or I just seen this seller, they was doing this. Let me try. So it's like, how can I get an edge? So it's not like, oh, I only want to work till 3, and after 3, I'm done. Mm-hmm. No, I'm never done. I mean, I'm not saying I don't spend time with my family, but this is my income. So, like, I have to be invested in this fully if I want to get the most out of it. That's kind of how I look at it.
Right. And you know what? If you're in management, I have a friend that runs a trucking company, right? When he was out there on vacation with us, he was on vacation getting paid for it. But guess what? He had emails coming in. He had phone calls coming in. Yeah. He had to take care of business, right? Yep. And it's that mindset where you're always on the clock. When you own your own business, you don't have someone that can do that for you. It's on you.
It's all you. Yeah.
And so you got to have that mentality, I think, if you want to do well. But good discussion on that. Let's see if we've got any more questions here. I hate to skip some questions here, but we have Amazon Seller 99 says, question for Ed, does he use the Walmart fulfillment service? And if so, how's it working? How does it compare to FBA? That's Amazon.
I'd use it sometimes for some items. As far as it works, well, it works just pretty much like Amazon in a sense. But you don't have to do as much prep as you do for Amazon. Walmart go by just the barcode, so there's no labels to print out. There's not really. I mean, if you got liquids, you would kind of prep those accordingly. But it's fast. It's a faster process for sending in than it would be for Amazon because of the fact you don't have to label everything. But I mean, when there's things that if you in a buy box, it's hard to get the buy box if there's a seller that's doing Walmart fulfill and you're fulfilling it. It's hard to get that. You got to drop your price so low. Sometimes it's like, yeah. So like you definitely get preferential treatment on the buy box with Walmart, more so than even on Amazon.
Yeah, I think Amazon's pretty hard. Maya's want to ask a question in 2 comments. Yeah, ask away if you have a question. I'm going to try to get to questions right now. The last thing I'd like to do, it would really kind of make me crazy and if I couldn't get to your questions, because that's kind of what we're doing this for. No One Design, Salami Sandwich says, question for Ed, do you do all your processes, photos, listing, cross listing, or do you have a third-party person like a VA doing that for you?
I used to use the VAs and the cross listing stuff, but I just kind of do whatever myself now. There is I remember somebody asked you on a video about, is there a software to cross list from eBay to Amazon? There's a website called Auctiva, AUTICA, something like that, Auctiva.com. Anyway,
Yeah,
I used that before. It's pretty
like
good. Yeah,
like InkFrog. I think InkFrog does that too.
Yeah, but I do everything myself right now, and I'm doing that for a reason. Probably until next year sometime.
Yeah, I think Auctiva, from what I remember, it's been a while though. They have a little cleaner interface than InkFrog does, but they both kind of perform the same thing.
It's a pretty smooth interface. It works.
Yeah. We have Maya Koyama says, here's part 1. Anyone else selling a new tag starting to get concerned seeing all the bureaus, counterfeits, and suspensions, wondering if they're all cracking down because of the retail theft busts? You sell a lot of new, but you sell like a lot of new tag that's just not clothing, but it's like.
No, I don't do really clothing, but I was going to say, as far as that question goes, this is kind of related to your comment way earlier about like Amazon and the counterfeit claims. The one good thing I will say about this, as far as Amazon and stuff goes, with eBay, because this is the trending topic right now on eBay, there's no recourse. They take it down, they say it's fake, and that's the end of it. I just had a counterfeit claim on Amazon 2 days ago. I showed them my receipt from Walmart, and they took it off my account, and now I can relist the item if I want to. So that's that. So there's recourse at least, even though Amazon might be a little more strict. If you can just prove your case, they'll fix it for you, and you can list the item. With eBay, there's no recourse. So I think that's even worse.
Yeah, and then part 2 is for my wholesale purchases, I have invoices, but for retail arbitrage, I only have store receipts. Not sure if eBay would accept those in case of a bureau. Here's the thing. You can show all that stuff, invoices and receipts, but if they've removed it, they don't care.
Yeah, I don't think they care.
They're going to tell you this. They're going to say, send that receipt to the person that put in the claim. Here's the email address.
Right.
And good luck in them spending the time to get back to you and saying, oh, by the way, you can. And then them getting back to eBay saying that, oh, it's good. Otherwise, they're not going to, they don't care. You can have all that information. Now, I can tell you they had me flagged back in 2019 as a drop shipper, on my account. And so I had to show them 21 invoices that proved otherwise, that I had the merchandise. Who drop ships used stuff anyway, right? I mean, I had used stuff. Who drop ships used stuff? It's like counterfeiting a $1 bill. It don't make any sense. So, for me, it's like you show them that, they'll take the flag off of your account. But as far as when it comes to bureau, they don't want to get involved in between you and the brand. It's easier for them to
tell you that in those emails they send for the bureaus to contact that whoever it is that,
Right. It's no different than your buyer opening a false INAD against you, saying that, oh, you sent a blue shirt when you sent a red one, just so they can get out of the free return shipping, because maybe they just gain a little weight at the picnic and they can't fit in that red shirt, and they're just going to say it's blue just to get a free return label. And then you complain about it counting against your return metrics. Well, eBay doesn't take sides. They don't. They're going to side with the buyer, just like they side with the brand every time.
And
So
it probably won't work for the Vero. That would be the same thing as on Amazon getting the IP. It wouldn't matter if you had invoices or not, but it may help if you get a counterfeit claim for eBay to take that off your account. If you can show them those invoices and receipts, that may. I never tried that on eBay, so I'm not sure. But on the counterfeit side, it might help, so you don't have that as a strike on your account.
yeah, and then Maya's saying, I'm starting to wonder if I should just take all my new tag items down from eBay and sell them on Posh. I would still do that, but I wouldn't take them down unless you are starting to get Vero on your items, because after, I think they give you like 2 or 3 times before they start
Yeah,
hitting suspension. So, the first or second time, like the first time, okay, it's a warning. Second time, it's like, okay, these are coming off. Okay.
right. Yeah, because the
So
third one is going to be a suspension.
yeah, I wouldn't make those drastic moves until that happens to you. So we have Fedoni Abbey says, question, any reason why buyers usually don't have any feedback on eBay?
Or leave any feedback.
Well, this says don't leave any feedback on eBay because they don't want to be bothered. They're there to buy their item. They could care less about eBay's little game of please rate the seller. It used to be, actually, I think they changed it, but they're more rate the product that you receive, right? And there's some screenshots about that, but people don't care. Like I bought some things off of eBay. I'm a seller on this platform. I bought some boxes from eBay from using your coupon, that type of thing. It took me weeks to finally, like, it was because it was a nuisance. It was, they keep bothering you about leaving feedback. So I did that, but I didn't care. I'm not here to play the eBay feedback game.
Yeah, I
It's
really don't leave feedback really either. So
like, yeah, it's nice to get it, but there's a lot of sellers out there. How do I get my buyer to leave feedback? Leave it alone. I mean, no feedback is good feedback to me. Let's see if I have any more questions here. Hopefully we do. I'm way behind. So let's see. Noah Design Salami says, at this point, it is difficult to say what you would do without knowing what specific Nua tag brands you're selling. Or if you sell Dixon, Lululemon, Laura, Piana, etc. So, it's one of those things where there's going to be, I sell Vero stuff all the time. There's people say, don't list Brother toner cartridges because, that's on the Vero list. I've never been Veroed by them. Now, watch it happen now. But, there's times like I know of a certain person who frequents this channel. They went out and got a brand new P90X and they sold it and had no issues, even though we know that's a big Vero brand. So, I've been Veroed and it's like, okay, what about these other 20 listings that are selling the same thing, right? I don't know why or how it works, but it doesn't seem like eBay is too serious about the program. They're only reactive when something or someone reaches out and reports an item.
and I'll tell you this too, the more you get, the more sensitive they make your account. So like you always talk about how they are on your account. That's true. So if you start getting hit for certain items, they will put something on your account to where now all of a sudden they're going through your listings and you'll start to see it happen. What happened to me a couple years ago. And like I literally like just stopped listing certain things because it was getting ridiculous. And so
Right.
yeah, if you start getting Veros on certain things or getting counterfeit, might be a good idea to kind of back away for a minute. I'm not saying stop selling it, but they will make your account, they'll put it under a microscope.
Yeah. So you'll be. I was flagged for a while. They were. I mean, I thought they. Maybe I was wrong in saying that eBay was picking on me. Maybe I just happened to have a couple of Veros and put me on some kind of special list. But
no, they do that. They definitely do that.
let's see. Yeah. And then here's a comment. Jason Byers says eBay needs to put the description in the app listing instead of making buyers click a link to hunt for it. So you ever look up a listing in the app on the phone?
Yeah.
And you can't, it shows everything but the item description, but there's a little hyperlink that
you got to scroll all the way through all of this stuff. And then, that's kind of crazy.
Yeah. Let's see if I can get a question here. I'm not really seeing one. Let's see. Jacqueline B says, good evening. I can't believe I'm actually catching a live. I've been so busy listening. I missed the notification. I truly thank for all your advice. Been binge watched. Thanks a lot. Well, thank you. Appreciate you being here. Nick Picker says more like 2 out of 100 that ask questions and then buy, but I still do it if I can. But, it's just one of those things where I think any edge you can give yourself, if you have no customer service and decide I'm going to start giving good customer service, let's see. I'm willing to bet you're going to get a small increase in sales. This has to be, Let's see. No one design says you guys need to move to the next level and get some crackheads to handle remedial tasks. You can move away from the sales department. Get some of those reps. You could actually, if you really wanted to be lazy about it, you could actually say, okay, here's my after hours. Have some VA in the Philippines or Pakistan or whatever for $2 an hour. Babysit your store. That's like for 8 hours, it's $16 a day. And they can do all the small little remedial tasks that you don't want to mess with, I guess, right? But
listen, if you was doing that type of volume, definitely it would make sense to do. But
yeah.
I think most people really don't have to do that. You can kind of message them yourself.
Yeah, I agree. Let's see if I have any more questions here. I don't see a whole lot. Oh, we got Red Relics with the super sticker. Thank you so much for that. I appreciate it. Certainly not. It's not expected, but thank you. It's appreciated. Let's see if I have some from him. Rad Relics says sourcing in a small town is much harder than finding stuff in a metropolitan area. My whole county has around 12,000 people in it. So are you in like a rural area? I hate saying that word. Or you closer to like Pittsburgh, Philadelphia?
Me?
Yeah.
I am probably, I'm in a city, so I'm probably about 3 hours away from Pittsburgh, but I'm surrounded. So like I'm in Erie, PA. So
okay.
I'm close to Buffalo, Cleveland, Pittsburgh. I got a lot going on around here. So
Okay. And then Rad Relics also says the thing I find that helps me is the fact that everyone knows what I do, and I get a ton of stuff that falls in my lap. Our Goodwill is crap, but our auctions are great, and best of all, no self-service. Well, I think that would be a detriment, not being able to look up stuff. That would be one of those things where I'd be like, well, at this point, you're guessing, right? Especially if you sell everything and you don't sell in a niche. Don A.
Crap too.
Huh?
Our Goodwill up here is crap too, man.
Yeah, ours is a mad. Well, we have Goodwills all over the place, but they're overpriced. And when you go to the bins, the one outlet, the clearance, it's like you better wear your helmet, your gear,
hazmat suit.
You're gonna leave with some bruises when you're done. Don A says, "Can I ship Ground Advantage in a priority tieback?" Not priority. No, if it's labeled priority, like I know you're talking about the one that says priority. A priority has to go priority. Now, will they catch it? Heck, I don't know. I mean, I got the same person using the same return label 5 or 6 times sending me stuff. So
they could, but 9 times out of 10, the priority got a different code. They'll probably catch that most of the time.
Yeah. I mean, use anything like here's a plug. Check out the link down below for GyroPack. I think you have them as well. But check out the link down below. Save 10%, and you can get the best prices. They got good stuff, and ship your Ground Advantage in that. That's the way to go. Let's see here. Red Relic says, I've had a bureau for Velcro on an item that was made by 3M and used Velcro as the supplier for their product. I won that and they reversed it, but told me not to relist it. And I remember reading something about Velcro. They have a thing on their website saying, please don't use Velcro as a verb or actually as a noun.
Do they really?
Have this whole like rant about do not misuse our brand name. Yeah, I'm gonna still call it Velcro. Sorry. Maya says, question for Ed. If they get down this far, I looked into selling my new tag items on Walmart before. How do returns usually go on Walmart?
So on Walmart, return process is a customer can either return it by mailing it. They use FedEx. All returns are processed through FedEx. Walmart charges your account, but they can give the customer the option to either return it in store or to ship it back to you through FedEx. So that's kind of how that goes. Walmart's probably the worst place for returns out of the 3 platforms I sell on. I mean, and I'm still under 2%, but I get way more returns on there. So it's way easier for customers to return items there. But I mean, that's the 2 ways that they'll return it.
They charge you for that return label?
Heck yeah. It's on your statement every month. It shows you in red how much you've been charged.
Okay, well, yeah, PTS Treasure says, question, what do you both think at eBay rolling out AI listings based on seller photos? I haven't heard of that one.
Me
So
neither.
they sell their photos.
I don't know about none of this AI stuff. I don't know. I
I
guess
don't think that that's sophisticated. I don't think that that's sophisticated. They're playing word games right now with AI taking your item specifics and taking all the words and fluffing them up into a 2 paragraph deal for your listings. I don't think it's bad. It's better than not
I
having
think
one.
this though, unless you selling new items, you selling multi quantities. If you're selling something used, AI's I just feel like you asking for trouble. I
They're
think
going
you
to ask.
have to,
It's gonna fluff up your item to be more, pump it up to be more than what it is, right?
yeah. I think you need to give the customer exactly what, let them know exactly what they're getting. No extra stuff, you know?
I personally would rather downplay it a little bit and
Yeah, yeah,
have them be like what I've had that happen before. Sell a pair of shoes. It has some marks and uh, you know some scuffing and some marks from previous wear. They get it and like these shoes are like brand. They put in the
right.
feedback. These shoes are like brand new, right?
Yeah, yeah.
So I'd rather under promise and over deliver, if that makes sense.
I think they're
John
way more times than not doing that.
yeah. John Gainer says, question, how important is it to have a partner or family member get to you through the insanity of eBay lifestyle to get you through? Oh, yeah. Okay. So how is it important to have a family member to get you through? I mean, I think it's a good idea. If you have, let's say, your significant other that they're thinking about helping you with the business, it's going to take less pressure off of you, right?
Well, you know
Um,
better than anybody because you and Jenna do it. So
Yeah, yeah, and we do it. She's. It's funny because now that she's getting more into it, she's watching more like channels and stuff,
right.
videos, and she's learned. It's one of those things. If you have a spouse, right? You like we used to bowl in a league, right? And I think I'm a good bowler. I'm a 220 average. I think it's pretty good, and I think I'm not going to be going back to bowling because of my arm, but nonetheless, we would bowl together in a league, and I'm like, oh yeah, here's what you're doing wrong, and she'd like look at me funny, but our other teammate would tell her the same thing, and she's like, oh yeah, thank you, and she'd do it, and I'm like, it's the same thing. I think she watches videos, she like starts getting it right, so it's better coming from someone else than me, and she's starting to like learn that way. So I guess that's just how we roll. But what about you? Your significant other? Do they get
She
involved?
no, she's teaching, but she does the same thing, man. I can tell her something though, and I swear to goodness, nothing. And then as soon as somebody else tell her, she come to me like I just told you this. You know what I mean? I don't know.
Yeah.
Maybe it's like a woman thing or something.
So Ed, got a question. Are you going to Philly eBay Open? I will look for you. My name is Becky.
I did not know there was a Philly
Man,
eBay Open. I probably won't. But is there a Philly eBay? Are they going to be in Philly?
they're going to be in Philadelphia this year. They're going to be. I think it's the 20. Let's see, the 27th through the 29th.
Yeah.
I think yeah. So
Honestly,
that's
I
not
would
far.
rather go to an ASD event than a eBay Open event.
Yeah, yeah. But it's not far from you. Something to consider. I don't know if they're sold out or not, but something to look into. And of course, no live stream would be a live stream unless we had Roman checking in. Velcro is being watched over by KGB. You can check out Roman's lives. They're a trip. You gotta.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's a YouTube experience if you haven't checked out Roman's channel. Let's see. Rad Relic says it's important to under promise and over deliver. We have a 2-way ship time and ship everything in one day. AI fluffs your listing and over promises too. Yeah, it's just horrible. I mean, and I know that because it uses the same verbiage as Chat GPT, and of course they find the information online, but eBay is only limited to what your item specifics are. We got Big Dre in the house. Just got back from shipping out another 2 sales on Mercari and Posh. Nothing on eBay today. Yeah, but that tells me right there that I think that if you're having issues on eBay and you're avoiding cross listing on Mercari, Poshmark, I think you're leaving some money on the table. I mean, we get Poshmark sales all the time. We don't get as many sales on Mercari because we don't really have but maybe 50 to 100 listings on there right now, but we're getting more stuff over there. Do you cross post other than
Depends on how many of a certain item I got, but if I have a bunch of a certain SKU, I'll put them up on Mercari. I got some stuff on Mercari now. I get a few sales here and there every week or two.
Yeah. And then Baubles, Blings, and Needful Things is not just a woman thing, a spouse thing. I could explain something in depth to my husband. He ignores it, but it works. He comes home and says, like, hey, honey, you know, guess what Bob told me? He said that I could just do it this way. I've been telling you that for 2 weeks. Okay. Yeah, well, it's good to hear that it's not just happening to me.
Right.
But you know what? We're rolling up on the 2 hour mark, and I just want to thank you, Ed, for taking the time. I think we had a really good conversation, and
Yeah, definitely. Thank you. And I wish Jenna was here, man, because I also wanted to say I saw her live, and she was talking to somebody in the chat, and they brought up Annie Elise, the true crime channel.
Yeah.
I remember saying out loud, like, "How John don't know about that channel?" Because you was like, "Huh, who?"
But what's funny is
just let her know I'm in on the Annie Elise channel, man.
It popped up on my feed the other day, and I'm like watching it, and she's like, and she came in and asked me a question. I'm sitting there like listing, right, and it's playing over here on this screen, and she's like, "Oh, Annie Elise, huh?" I'm like, it just popped up in my feed, you know. So, but you know, guys, do me a favor. Of course, hit the like button before we get done here, but check out Ed's channel. Okay, it is Hustle and Grow, not Hustle and Flow like the movie. Hustle and Grow, and you know, he has like about 1.5K subscribers, and I want everyone to go over there and check out his content. A lot of wise words, you know, a lot of just information, not a lot of some of those videos we talk about where, you know, he's looking for an item to ship. It's just content, and I like that kind of thing. So, but check out his channel, give him a subscribe if you can. And Ed, thank you once again for hanging out with me today, and great conversation. Really,
sure. Likewise, man. Likewise. Thank you. I appreciate it. It's an honor.
Anything you want to say before we go?
No. I appreciate you. I appreciate Jenna. I appreciate everybody in the chat, and definitely, I'm gonna make sure I continue to watch and support the channel and support everybody else.
Well, one real quick question from the audience here. Nick says, "What are you growing?"
I can't put that out on the camera, man.
All right. Well, hey guys, thank you. But you know what? Figuring out all this stuff as to what you need to do to help your business succeed or get better. I think we covered that. There's a lot of things you could take from this video. A lot of things, maybe have some reflection to see what you're needing to do better. Maybe you're one of those set it and forget it type sellers, and maybe that's the answer there. But figuring all that out is yet another example of how flipping ain't easy. And I want you guys to have an excellent weekend, and we will talk to you guys very soon.
Good night.
Take care, everyone.